I got bounced off, and I'm just gonna finish this last question. Yes, I just got bounced off, so waiting for a few people to come on board. I'll answer a few questions before I close. Yes. Okay. Hi. I'm still here, actually. I am still here.
Okay.
What was that? Yes.
Hmm.
He says, I like this guy. We've been talking for a while, but we never met. How intimate can we get on our first date? It feels like
Wow.
we've passed the first date, but we've never met. I feel like I've seen him already. On your first date, it's still a first date. So it's your first time of meeting the person. Of course, you're going to be closer and friendlier. That's fine. But how intimate? It's still a first date. So keep it at first date level.
Hmm.
Okay, and that's good. But it's true though because when you've talked to a person, actually it's a good thing that you've talked a lot because you've gotten to know the person's mind, you know how they think and everything, and you've been able to decide if you like them even without seeing them, and that's a really
Yeah.
good thing. Fantastic. Okay, what was that last question? I'm going to answer like three more questions and then we're closing.
Okay.
Make it count.
What was the last question? What was the last question what we were talking
Or
about?
any new
Yes, you were
question.
saying that he was his upbringing. It was his upbringing that made
Upbringing.
it
Okay,
very difficult
upbringing.
for him to
Um,
communicate.
Yes, your upbringing, we all had different types of upbringing, but we don't have to stay there. That's something you need to explain to him that we can change. We're expected to change. And the more we know, the better we get. So he should start to read books on relationships and just yeah and have a mindset. See, his mindset right now is this is how I grew up, I can't change. And that's a wrong mindset because he will not change. So you've got to tell him that you can change. Everybody changes. And then start to demonstrate what you want, and then he'll change. People change. Don't settle. See, if you believe that he will not change, then you settle for the person that will not change. It's like this happens. I see people say all men are cheats. Okay, now because you believe that all men are
Yeah.
cheats, you will take a man that's cheating and you will accept him because you believe all men are cheats, and then he'll cheat on you, and then you will now be sure that yes, all men are cheats. But that's only because you believe that all men were cheats, which caused you to choose a cheating man. A woman that believes that nope, not all men are cheats, will pass by every cheat till she gets a guy who is faithful, and her belief will come true. Did we just follow that? So what you believe will come true. So be very careful what you believe.
Yeah.
Did you follow that?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Someone is
Good.
saying, what about if you're with a guy and he gets very aggressive when you want to communicate? So you're trying to maybe ask him questions or whatever, but he gets very aggressive, or like he'll shut down, maybe shout. I don't know if she meant physically aggressive, but even just in general, he's aggressive
I
when you're
would
trying to ask
I
him
would
questions.
leave the person. I leave the person. I just would find somebody else. And I'll tell you this because I counsel a lot of people. And one thing I find is some men they communicate in anger to control their women. And they just very it's a nightmare. And
Hmm.
if he's already showing this, I'd walk away. And
Hmm.
then also because I counsel a lot of people, you're better off on your own than with the wrong man.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense? You are
Hmm.
actually better off to be by yourself, single, having to handle it and deal with it, than to end up with a guy that makes your life hell. So if he's already communicating with you with anger and aggressively, he's controlling. That's a controlling person.
Hmm.
He's trying to use anger to control you, and he's going to use it to control you in every area. So you don't want that. Like to clarify, till he goes and gets some counseling and sorts himself out, I would run from that person.
Okay.
Like
London
how are
Ice
you?
Cream is saying, I think it's dangerous to wait for a man to change. I don't believe in dating potential. Do you think
To
that?
be quite frank, it's better for him to change before yeah. To be quite frank, like when the guy comes to you and he's not where you want him to be, tell him where you need him to be, and then tell him to come back. You know, give him something. You know, he can always come back when he's sorted out himself. But a lot of times you can get into a relationship that becomes oppressive and abusive. But see, when I counsel people, I always ask, did you notice this before you got married? And always, all the time, the women tell me, I knew he had this in him. Then I just don't bother asking, so why did you marry him? But yeah, most times, yeah, they knew that this was there, and then they married the person thinking it would get better. But then years later, they're still trying to get some counseling.
Yeah.
So try to look really good. If you're married already. There are ways that people can change and you can handle things. But if you haven't yet made that decision, take your time and choose wisely. The thing that people have a lot is this: if you don't know what it is, if you don't know what love is, you can't recognize love in other people. Does that make sense? It's like and most people don't know what love is. So if you really don't know what love is, you don't know what to look for in that person. If you know what love is, it's very easy to look for it in him or her, and if they have it, you'll just choose them. But because you don't know what it is, you just choose blindly. So one day I'm going to do a teaching on what love is, because love is specific, and if I don't see it, I know it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the problem is when people are already stuck. Okay, so the last question I can see here, Zeddy Moore, how do you close a communication gap when there's a big gap in understanding?
How do you close a communication gap when there's a big gap in understanding? You've got to come to that person's level, okay? Catch them at that level and then bring them up slowly to where you are. If it's like I'd love to get to a little bit more detail as to the gap in the communication, where they're not talking at all, or they're just not talking your language, or what are they just not doing? You know, are they just shut down? You know, and I'll tell you this: invest in your relationships. Make sure that you have a partner that will come with you for counseling. Like all the different things we've spoken about tonight, an hour or two of counseling, and you just going back to do what you were told to do and make the changes you were asked to make will just make a world of difference for everybody. And the issue is, if you end up with a person that's resistant to being taught, that just does not have a teachable spirit, then you have a problem, because that person will not change, and whatever problem you have remains. Very good.
There's one last question. This is the last question I can see here, so I was just thinking, since it's only one, maybe we could get to it.
Okay.
And I guess for the last person as well, I would say, if it's a communication problem in the moment, then maybe just give it time. So like, don't always speak about things in the heat of the moment. I mean, maybe come back to it later, or come back to it when the person has calmed down or whatever. Just wait for a better time. Sometimes maybe text them. Like, it doesn't have to be verbal if you find it difficult to get your point across, because there's different ways of communicating, and it doesn't always have to be then and there that you try and solve the problem all at once. The last question is from Yasmin. From your experience, what makes women or men go for partners who are showing red flags when dating? So I guess what she's saying is, marry or have children with people that when you met them, they were already showing red flags.
Okay, what's the question?
So the question is, from your experience, what makes men and women go for partners or enter into long-term relationships with people who were showing red flags?
Okay. Most time, it's like this. Before you get married, you're supposed to have what I call a profile. It's a profile. It's like a picture. I call it a picture. For me, it's like 10 to 12 items with 3 or 4 that are non-negotiable, which means the person I'm looking for must have these things. Okay. And then the other items on the list are things I like. Okay. Now, what happens is that because they had no profile of what they wanted, you can get confused, because the person could look really handsome and he's got a great job, and then for all of a sudden you forget that actually part of what you want is a person who doesn't have an anger problem, a person who will treat me nice, a person who communicates. But because he's a BMW, he's all buff and he has a great job, boom, I'm gonna marry him. You know, so you made and it happens to the best of us because people come in different packages. You've always got to have that profile that you go back to and say, well, you know, let's look at it. And if you see that they don't have the things that you say are non-negotiable, non-negotiables is that if you're a guy and I say I want the person to be a reader, I want them to be athletic, I want them to be friendly or something, and I meet this gorgeous woman, she's like gorgeous, like amazing shape, everything. But then, you know, I go back and she's just like, you know, she gets angry, she's controlling, you know, and she's everything. No, I'm not gonna go for it. But people get confused. You know, it's like, you know, she looks great, okay, I'll marry. But then you still got this person who is not what you wanted. So it's because they had no clear picture of who they wanted before they went in. That's one. And two is because some people don't really know that anger is a problem. Like for me, I know anger is a problem. So if I want a person that doesn't want to love me, they've got to be a person that they don't have an anger problem. And you got to, you know, if you have an anger problem, it's like, I'm just gone. I just not going to be there. But some people don't know that anger is a problem because they don't know that love doesn't get angry. They don't know what love is. So you just marry. A lot of people marry ignorant. They're just ignorant and then they just marry. But then you're going to deal with the fallout. So Yasmin, I hope I spoke into that a bit. But feel free to, you know, follow me on my profile. Amazing teachings, amazing videos. I'll be back next week at 8:30. Please be here. Tell your friends. And feel free to send your questions beforehand. You guys have my contact, I believe, or just DM me, and I'll be here. I'll answer all the questions, and it's going to be amazing. So thank you very much. Have an amazing evening, Judy. How can I say thank you? Thank you very much. You've been amazing. People, bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.